Positive reinforcement training is a fairly new technique that has gained a lot of popularity recently. To better understand this method, you will need to learn about all four of the quadrants of dog training in the operant conditioning theory. Positive reinforcement is when you reward your dog for certain behaviors. Instead of getting mad at your dog for making a mistake, you find a training solution that doesn't involve any punishment. For an example might be when your dog steals socks, instead of yelling and getting mad at your dog, you would come up with a training plan and in a training session teach your dog not to steal socks and then introduce it into everyday life. Positive reinforcement training commonly uses a clicker. A clicker is a clicking toy that clicks whenever you press a button. It makes it easier to tell your dog exactly what you want him to do by marking the behavior exactly when he is doing it. This type of training makes your dog think for himself and provides a stronger bond between owner and dog. Positive punishment is when you add an aversive to decrease the chance of a behavior ever happening again. This is not as humane as positive reinforcement and may cause your dog to be fearful or aggressive. An example might be yelling and spanking your dog after she stole a sock or something else. This method does not teach your dog what you want him to do instead of the behavior, but just teaches him that that behavior is unacceptable. Negative reinforcement is the removal of something negative to strengthen a behavior. This technique usually uses the method called molding. Molding is when you force your dog into a position. An example might be when teaching your dog to sit, you push down on his hindquarters, and the second he sits, you remove your hands, and that rewards him because he didn't like your hand being pushed down. The only reason why people think this works is because your dog will obey, but not because he's wanting to, but because he's fearful of what will happen if he doesn't obey. This technique can also cause a dog to be more fearful, aggressive, and possibly bite. Negative punishment is the removal of something pleasant to reduce a behavior or response. An example might be if your dog is chewing on a toy and you walk past him. For some reason he growls at you, trying to protect his toy, and you scold him and take his toy away. This usually causes your dog to be more fearful and maybe more protective of his toys. It can also cause your dog to just bite you out of nowhere instead of growling because you scolded him for growling. So he doesn't want to upset you, but he feels the need to protect himself, so he'll just go straight to bite out of instinct. These are the different types of dog training techniques. I prefer using positive reinforcement methods because I believe that it creates a strong bond between human and dog. High five! Good girl!